Hello and welcome everybody. It's Sunday evening and that means one thing. It's time to round out this week's Misfits Racing League action here, of course, with the F2 division. And joining me for F2, as always, is the one and only Mr. Alex. But Alex, how are you doing this evening, my friend?
Hello, Unicorn. Hello, everyone. Very, very good. I'm actually very, very good today, and I'm very excited to see these drivers here around Suzuka on the F2 cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Suzuka so far this week has provided some stunning action around a track that is pretty tricky to overtake around. Strategy around here, pretty critical to get right. We've seen a few standout strategies really just sort of play into some races, really gain some people a lot of points where otherwise they might not have got some great recovery drives, that kind of thing. Here in F2 this evening, we'll see whether we get any of that. Obviously the strategy for an F2 race is of course slightly different to that of an F1 race, but with that being said, we're just about ready to go here. I think we're just waiting on a couple more people. Of course, we will be just making sure that everyone is in before we get everyone readied up, etc. But before we get started, a big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, wheel stand, motion sim, that kind of thing, be sure to check them out over on their website in the link in the description down below. They're doing brilliant things for the sim racing community, and we'd really appreciate it if you go and check them out, as well as, of course, hop in our Discord because we're going to be hosting the Misfits Grand Championship, a new and exciting event that we will be holding, and we'll be giving away a Next Level Racing rig. So if you want to win that, you want extra chance to win that, be sure to get yourself signed up for that because participants do get extra entries into that giveaway. Very, very exciting stuff coming up in the MRL in a few weeks, and over the course of the next few weeks, obviously we have the last 4 rounds left of the season. Obviously F2 we're the last, so this is we've got 5 rounds left if you include this one for F2. For everything else, just 4. After Japan, obviously we have the USA, then Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi to round things out in about a month's time, and just in time of course for that new game to launch as well. So a lot of exciting things, a great time to be an MRL fan, an F1 fan. And Alex, I don't know what the situation is, but I think we're just about ready here.
I think we're waiting still for some drivers. Of course, sorry to being a little bit late, but seems like some drivers at the last moment were not able to race today at Suzuka, so we're trying to take their replaces back. And I think in a couple of minutes, as we said before, we'll be ready to race here on the, of course, one-shot qualifying as always, 50% sprint race, feature race, and of course following that, 50% sprint race to finish this week on Japan.
Yeah, absolutely. And Suzuka, a pretty technical track, those S curves. We'll see, we sometimes see a few more spins in the F2 cars in places that you wouldn't necessarily see that loss of traction or grip in an F1 car, and that's something that we'll have to contend with. I was speaking to Domi earlier, not here this week, but usually he is the organizer, of course, for the F2 division. And he was saying that he tested it out, and the F2 cars actually handled pretty well, particularly through the Dunlop curve as well, where you might see, a little bit of a loss of traction. You've got to be careful of straying off of the track. Keeping it inside the lines there is very, very important. Otherwise, you might find a bit of grass to bring your car out. But apparently, grip is actually in downforce not too bad here around Suzuka for the F2 cars, when they usually do pose a little bit of a different challenge tonight. We've got a lot of fast drivers here today, a lot of people, very recognizable names, getting ready to tackle the Japanese Grand Prix here in the F2 cars. And most of them, they've probably done a Japanese Grand Prix already this week. We've had quite the upset here in a few of the races, punctures late in the race. I know, Alex, you were just reminiscing about one of those a few moments ago. Probably not something you want to relive anytime soon, but
yeah, I think a puncture can be happening, of course, on these conditions when you really extend the stint. And I think I don't know. I don't want to say someone was gonna have a puncture today, but we'll see later.
yeah, absolutely. These F2 cars, they really are a different kettle of fish to the F1 sort of discipline that we have. Obviously, that is where we mostly have our races held. And, well, as it stands, we've got 18 drivers in the lobby right now. We're just waiting on those last few to get themselves into the lobby, but it won't be too long now until we get everything underway. And hopefully that racing is, of course, worth it. It usually is here in the F2. It's just a completely different bunch. The cars, they're a little bit smaller, a little bit slower. That leads to a few more opportunities to overtakes. Maybe, side by side in areas, maybe through the hairpin. Maybe even if someone's brave enough or, maybe foolish enough, it depends how you look at it, to go side by side through the S is definitely something you don't want to be doing in an F2 car. But here, maybe through the Casio Triangle as well, a bit of a risky stretch to get an overtake done. We've seen a few mishaps so far this week through there, but side-by-side action always possible here in F2. And, well, we'll just see how these drivers tackle it. I do think we have everyone now, Alex, if I'm not mistaken, but obviously I'll let you be the deciding vote on that.
I think we should be able to ready up, yeah, I guess.
Well, that is obviously good news. Just make sure, you got yourself on spectator mode. Wonderful stuff. And with that being said, we do have ourselves a lovely, fairly full grid. I think we're missing one driver to make it that final spot. But finally, Japanese action can occur here in Formula 2. If you're just tuning in, this is, of course, the Misfits Racing League action. It's a community event here in the F2. We always use to round out our week of action at a given track for our tiered divisions that are in F1, most of which are streamed on our Twitch channel. So make sure you're following over there, as well as subscribed here on the YouTube. And if you could, just whack a like on the stream. That is always very helpful for us, and it really just goes to show, your support for the channel. But with that being said, drivers readying up. Alex, any predictions ahead of this one? What we might see, what we might not see here in F2?
I really don't know, to be honest. Of course, Japan is not a normal track where you used to be, well, there driving on these cars. Normally is on the F1, on the classic cars, but F2 normally not especially common, let's say, here on the Japanese track. And I think it really can provide even more action than we normally see on the F1, because probably that you really have more mistakes to really to really gain time against the other driver. So I think we can see more overtakes there on the exit of the Casio Triangle and going down to turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. That DRS assisted, the only DRS zone on the track, and also a few clouds here swirling in the skies above Suzuka. And does that mean rain? Well, we don't have the weather report. I don't know if anyone in the chat can provide us with one. But at the moment, looking dark and cloudy in the sky. And if we do see rain, well, that's yet another dynamic here that we could have. Obviously, the F2 cars, they don't get intermediate tyres, which sort of makes the rain even more difficult and challenging, because if it's just light rain, then you might have to go onto the slicks. And that obviously is not ideal when the track is getting wetter and wetter, but it's just a more tricky crossover as to when to decide to get onto the wet tyres or whether to stay on the dry compounds. You can see there all of the racers who are in this lobby. We've got Moen, Freeware, Varrock, Welsh Toast, Williams, Fabry Flame, Angel, Eric, Maka, Rutanius, Neon, Four-Door Sedan, Psycho, Larsen, Brainstew, Shenjay, Polypunk, Linus Tech Tips, and Backrow there at the bottom. We're on board with Polypunk, it would seem. And we'll see what he could do here on this lap. Everyone on the soft compound tyre. Here in qualifying, you usually see everyone going for the softer compound. Don't usually see too much deviation there. Look at the timing tire. It's going absolutely haywire as we come out of turn 2 on board with Polypunk into the S's for the first time tonight. We're already out of this one as Polypunk makes his way up through the S section of track. Coming out now of turn 6 into 7. This Dunlop curve, and really being careful on the throttle out of there. Getting it through onto the full power now as he comes through into the first Degnar. And a very cautious opening to the lap from Polypunk. You can see right now Shenjay, Freeware seem to be up at the top. as he flies down into the hairpin, climbing a bit. Polypunk was sort of in 11th place, now climbing up to potentially 6th. It seems pretty close. There's a lot of exchanging going on in this midfield battle as we come now through the fast right-hander of turn 12 down towards the double left-hander of the spoon curve. There's 13 out now through 14 onto this long straight. A exit here is absolutely crucial so that you can fly down into the Casio triangle carrying as much speed as possible through 130R. And here he comes now down into that fast left-hander. Obviously not quite as fast as the F1 cars, but that is to be expected here in an F2 car. Freeware back row. Maka climbing into the top 3. Polypunk now into the top 5, fighting with Brainstew. He's always successful here in F2. Maybe not quite so much here in Japan. It's Shenjie who takes pole at 138.3. 4/10 quicker than Freeware, so really found some time in the closing stages of that lap. Back row picks up P3 ahead of Maka. Brainstew only good enough for P5 is someone we've seen take multiple wins over the last few rounds of F2 action. Polypunk, who we were on board with, he takes home 6th place. And, well, Alex, that's qualifying. And not a bad qualifying at all. That timing tower was really crazy, so we could see some very, very interesting action here in Japan.
Yeah, I think that lap from Polypunk was actually very good. They're jumping into the top 6. I'm actually surprised that Brainsteel didn't have that good qualifying. Probably a little mistake there on the F2 that really can cause you a lot of time. 6:10, 666, we can see there on the time tower. For the Italian, normally they're up there on pole position, so they will be changing, taking those 4 points. Freeware alongside him on the future race for today.
Yeah, absolutely. Those 4 points, they can always be critical, especially if you don't do well in one of the races. They can really just sort of add to the total of some points that you haul in one of the other races. And it's almost like finishing a little bit lower down in the point scoring positions. But we'll go through the grid in a moment. Well, obviously we won't get a formation lap, so we'll have a quick glance at the rest of it. We've seen the top 6. It's dry, according to both Neon and Rutenis. So very much appreciated for you guys coming across in the chat to let us know. And it's a lot sunnier here in the feature race. Obviously, we do have both races. Session starts in 27 seconds. We do have a spectator host today in the form of me. So we will probably see that unfortunate desync glitch that we do sometimes get when the lights go out. But with that being said, it's not too bad, and it will give us time to have a quick glance at that grid and get all the settings dialed in beforehand. But here we go, 5 seconds on the clock. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Misfits Formula 2 action here at Suzuka. And there we can hear it. There's the grid. It's Shenjie on board with him now. Let's have a quick look, get everything set up, ready, and it's lights on, and away we go very quickly. I don't even see the lights as Freeware, well...
It's a formation lap. I think it's a formation lap, yeah?
We are having a formation lap. Well, not something
common,
we're used to seeing in F2, but there we are. Hopefully that hasn't thrown the drivers off too much. And gives them a chance to warm the tyres. Seems like there's been a bit of a collision with the 2 Dutchmen and Neon and Rutenis and Williams as well. That sets them back to the grid, so they won't be happy about this, but... a bit bizarre. Very, very unfortunate there. The lobby settings obviously slightly wrong there. That's on me. So apologies for that one. But that does give us time to go through here. Shenjie is on pole alongside Freeware, his teammate in Tier 1 here. Obviously not teammates though. Shenjie in the Trident. I do believe Freeware is in that Campos racing car. Let's go and look. It is. Back row and Maka are your second row starters. Brainstew, the Italian, very, very successful here in F2 over the last few weeks. Would not be surprised if he took the crown at the end of the season overall, but he's been producing some great results. Only 5th here, which is a little bit surprising for him, but he's alongside Polypunk on that 3rd row of the grid. Larsen behind them with Angel alongside him. Psycho, Welsh Toast, they round out the top 10 here. Eric in 11th, Fabry Flame in 12th, Moen in 13th, 4-door Sedan in 14th, and then Linus Kektips there in 15th place. Neon Rutanius, they're in 16th and 17th, the 2 Dutchmen there who are DSQ'd right now. Seems there was some sort of problem on the line getting off. I think someone wasn't quite right there, but Williams in 18th place. He's also been DSQ'd from the formation lap, and Varrock rounds out the grid in 19th position. We're all getting round now on the formation lap again. Apologies for that as we move to the grid now. A few people getting DSQ'd here at the end of things.
Yeah, Unicorn, these drivers right now lining up there on the grid. We have Tenji already there. Freeware, I think, was a little bit behind, a little bit there off grid, let's say, right now, putting alongside his teammate, as you said, on Tier 1, on F1, on MRL, as we saw Thursday. And I think we're waiting for Borog, and this will be lights out.
Well, there we go. We're just waiting. There we go. We've got the sequence. You can hear it. It's got 3, 4, 5 red lights here on in Suzuka. And there we go. We are away for the F2 action after, of course, a formation lap. Obviously, getting that desync glitch. And it looks like Freeware, he's had a much better start than Shenjay on board with Backrow, who's got a great view of this. The German has steamed off the line. Side by side for Polypunk. Angel, Brainstew. He's dropped like a stone on the start here. 3 wide behind him. You've got Moen there, gaining 3 places on the opening lap. He's looking for a 4th next to Fabry Flame side by side as they enter into these SS sections. Doesn't quite get Fabry Flame there on the entrance. You can see that Polypunk wide. Psycho, he's had a little snap. He's off on the inside there. Dirt being kicked up, going back down towards them. And everyone's still in this race. No one's retired. And there's been some huge gainers and a few losers here as Maka brains through there side by side into the first Degnar. Doesn't work well in the F1 cars, but here, the F2, it hasn't worked out either for Brainstew, who's off. He's trying to rejoin here. Cars are having to avoid him as he gets back on. Oh, and Neon into the back of the Uni Virtuosi. You hate to see it, but that was a very, very chaotic start to this race as Backrow, Angel, that is Backrow and Shenjay, sorry, side by side. Shenjay just getting back out ahead there, but a very, very exciting opening lap, Bito.
Yeah, they were very close, and right now I think Backrow even with those softs, both leaders on the mediums, and Backrow trying to gain some places there with a different strategy. He's going for the normal strategy. We can see a lot of drivers with those mediums trying to go to the reverse strategy, but the safety car I think can kill that strategy. Right now, Eric, they're on the back of Moen before 130R, and it's really, really close between these two.
Yeah, you can see there, Psycho, Linus, there, side by side. Linus has had a problem, I think. Well, there he is. Up on the inside, going down. Oh, there's a big crash as we come into the Casio Triangle. Brainstew off on the inside. And there is what I imagine is Moen blocking the pit lane sideways. Welsh Toast comes in. Linus comes in as well as the leaders. They're already down through, coming out of turn 2. There's a massive separation in this grid right now, as we've got 2 trains very much forming. The 2 Dutchmen, Rutanius and Neon, they're sandwiching 4-door right now between them. We'll see what happens with the Campos here. We'll see those people in pitting early here. We'll have to pit again. So usually you just see people stay out. But on Linus, well, he's called it quits in the pit lane and has also left the session. So fingers crossed he comes back. But an unfortunate start to the evening for him as we come through now. As Psycho, Neon, they're battling going into the first Degnar. Psycho, he gets passed by Neon. Is his teammate in the form of Larsen going to get past as well? There's a huge train here behind P10, which is Neon right now. You can see they're going for a lunge. It's Polypunk in the high tech on the inside now. He's had a pretty poor start to this race. Brainstew having to back out, let these guys pass. It's been a bizarre start to this race. We're only on lap 2. We've got 15 laps of this in the first race, the feature race, of course. And then we'll go into a sprint race as well, which will be a few laps shorter. And with that reverse top 8 grid, with the rest of them starting where they finish in this race. So this is a pretty important battle. You need to go and get into the top 8. And it's doable as Larsen's got a great view of Psycho. What a run Larsen has here on his teammate. Going straight past. He's side by side through 130R. Has to back out actually. And Psycho holding it around the outside. Has the inside line. Isn't going to go for the move on Neon. But you've got Brainstew behind Polypunk. They're side by side coming into the Casio Triangle, and Brainstew, the Italian driver in the Uni Virtuosi, picks off Polypunk. And now Psycho, Larsen, the 2 teammates, they're side by side. And oh my goodness, this race has been dramatic from start. And now to lap 3, we are on Psycho, Larsen. They're side by side coming into the first corner. Little bit of contact, I think, but nothing unsettling either car too much. And they're still very much racing in this one, Alex.
Yeah, both teammates of MP Motorsport, they're very close. Psycho tried to go really wide and took that last warning. That was that caused the 3-second time penalty he has right now. Larsen seems like he has a lot of pace, or Neon has damage, I think, as we saw before. Neon goes right on Dunlop, he has a spin. He has a spin. Neon on the Carlin goes around. On the exit of Dunlop, and he's going down in that timing tower right now.
That is so unfortunate for Neon, as Moen there just sneaks past on the inside, and, well, the Dutchman has not had the best of luck here at Suzuka. And Fordor Sedan, he's going very slowly out of the hairpin, getting passed by just about everyone ahead of him. Oh my goodness, they're still at it, Alex. Larsen and Psycho still side by side. And this is impressive for Larsen because he's missing an end plate as Brainstew up the inside of his teammate. The Univirtuosi sneaks past Psycho for 10th place. That final point scoring position, for some reason, we're not allowed to look behind. It changes the camera to someone else, and we do so. But Brainstew up on the inside now. 130R on Larsen. We're watching this from Psycho's point of view, and Psycho might get past Larsen as well. Larsen really losing out here. And oh, who is this? It's Psycho sideways. They're coming together with his teammate. An end plate flies off of Psycho. He joins his teammate. Well, actually, no, it's Larsen's other end plate. It's not Psycho's. As Fordor Sedan now finds himself between another pair of teammates. This time it is Psycho and Larsen. Last time it was the two Dutchmen over at Carlin. But now Fordor now right on the rear of Psycho. And this race has been action-packed so far, and it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon as Angel, he's on the inside of back row. What a switch back and back row into the grass.
Yeah, he's up into P3 over a move. I think back row went really wide there on the edge of Degner 1. We have an exchange there as Neon is pitting right now. Of course, this will be counting as the mandatory pit stop right now, putting the mediums from the softs. So we'll try to go to the end. William Larsen have an exchange as well. They're on the Degner 2 exit. I think Larsen is suffering right now and changing in freeway as well. Having an exchange, freeway has a spin on Spoon curve right now, losing a lot of time to changing, who has a penalty indeed, I think, from the first stages of this race. And Angel very close. He's trying to go side by side on 130R. We'll see if someone has to yield right now, but on the outside of the dams and freeway, they're holding in the inside, and he'll take the inside right now for the Casio Triangle chicane. He logs up the front right, but he's just ahead of the German.
Yeah, very nicely done from the Spaniard. 2 places in quick succession puts him up into second place. Can Freeway find a way back past his back row? He becomes the first to pit. I'm pretty sure planned as Freeway now. The German looking for it. He's very close on Angel up the inside, looking for it into turn 2. This is for the second place in this race. And Angel defends valiantly from the German and secures himself into that second place, really trying to cement himself in that position as Freeway looks to hunt him back down. Larsen, well, this man's been entangled with quite the few battles today. He's not looking like he's going to be anywhere else anytime soon. Williams falls victim to the damaged car of Larsen, and Larsen with such huge damage on that car. Gotta say, he is doing very well. Up ahead, his teammate under a bit of pressure. Psycho in P9, Fordor in P10. We'll see who comes out victorious overall in this one. Freeway, does he get the exit he needs out of the hairpin to mount an attack on Angel? Coming up to Spoon where he spun last time around that gave Angel the run he needed to pass the German. Here we go, going down into Spoon. Freeway having to push as we have a controller issue here, unfortunately.
Everyone is great right now with the mediums. Only Faury Flame there on the softs, trying to do the normal strategy, but everyone except him on the mediums. Of course, different versions of the stint. Of course, 4 laps you can see there on the top 13. Well, start with 2 laps of mediums, and the others back row, Brutinius, Moen, and Neon with 3-0. Right now, Freeway really preparing that overtake. One has a big snap, and that's the move done for Freeway, opening DRS, and he's already ahead of the Spanish.
Yeah, when you get a bit of an issue coming out of the final corner, same with Spoon here, you need the good run down this track, as we've got a problem for one of the racing point, well, not racing points, the BWT Race Lab cars. They're same color, very similar. It's not actually, it looks like it's Rutanius, and he does drive a racing point usually. He has fallen back to his tier 3 teammate in the form of Moen, and there is a huge portion of that front right wing missing. So I imagine it's going to be into the pit lane for the car and his teammate Neon. He's going to be coming in soon as well. Larson, well, he's still in a fight. This time it is once more with Williams, the MP Motorsport car, getting back past, though, on the SMP car. And very, very nicely done from him to sneak back up into the final point score position. But the MP Motorsport car slides, wipes out, and takes Williams with him. That is so unfortunate. Williams picks up a 5-second time penalty. That's a bit unfair. They both went. Well, actually, Larson finds a way back onto the track quicker than Williams here, who's waiting for absolutely everyone to go. Larson a little bit quicker. Routanius picks up a speeding penalty. Brainstew all over the rear of his teammate Eric. They are very different liveries for the Uni Virtuosi cars, but they are the same team. As the Brainstew's looking around the outside of Spoon on Eric here, looking for the switchback maybe into turn 14. Doesn't find it. But this is still action-packed. It is unbelievable what we're seeing here, Alex. This has been non-stop from start to finish as Brainstew looks around the outside, going down towards 130R, and the Uni Virtuosi on his teammate. Here they've come together. Brainstew saves it. Eric, not quite so fortunate, and is into the wall, and he is out in an absolutely monumental crash here in Suzuka. He's off the track. He is in the gravel trap. Does this spot a safety car? Yes, it does. It's only a VSC, but a VSC nonetheless, and that means that no one can serve their mandatory pit stop while this is out. This is unbelievable, Alex. This has been so action-packed.
Oh, no, I was just on board with Eric, and I saw that he almost catch that spin there on 130R, but it was too difficult. He didn't even downshift there to try to rotate the car back to the ideal line. But of course, Eric right now, well, DNF, as we have green flags again.
Maka gets past Rutenius, who's a back marker, nice and easily there. Rutenius not letting him, not holding him up there. So nice to see from the Dutchman. Not used to getting lapped in the tiered action, but here in the F2, not quite so fortunate. As we've got a lot of battling still here. We've got Psycho on the rear of Polypunk. We'll see whether he could do anything here in the MP Motorsport car. I do think he's still got both of his end plates, unlike his teammate, who has been very, very much struggling in this one. Fabry Flame, he's on the rear of Varrock. He's on very fresh mediums, though, and we'll see what this can afford the Dams driver. Does the grip give him enough to get through, maybe even here, through the Degners? I don't think so. He's not going to risk that. It is always a risky move, but a lot of traction. You can see it. He doesn't have to run as wide to carry as much speed through the corners, and that is, just a great sign that the tires are really working in your favor. And as they come through the hairpin, the exit here should be superior for him. Actually loses the rear a little bit, though. So for him, not quite so confident in that car potentially. He's just using down Tictum's car here. See it on the halo there. But as they come down,
right now on the back of board, almost hitting there. As we have an exchange there with Psycho and Polypunk side by side there on the Castle Triangle. Psycho just behind. Polypunk will go into the pit. Psycho having a snap there of oversteer, and I will jump back there to Fire Flame on 12th place. He is very, very close before 130R. Well, they will try to take it very, very close, and we'll see Fire Flame with DRS on the main straight can take that place.
Yeah, down into the Casio Triangle. No move there for Fabry Flame. And with the performance he's got through the Casio Triangle, you're unlikely to see it here. But now, out of the final corner, he's managed to redeem himself. Larson, he picks up a 5-second penalty for spinning in the pit lane. DRS, though, for both Varrock and Fabry Flame. Varrock, though, no car ahead for Slipstream. Very, very much late on the brakes, and just too late on the brakes. And he gets past up the inside for Fabry Flame. The Dams is past. Can he hold off, though, as Varrock in that Charouz Racing car drops down to 10th place, unable to hold on. And there we have it. Fabry Flame up into P9. Those fresh mediums really affording him some extra traction there. That Varrock just outbraked himself trying to defend from the move.
Shinji picking a penalty there of 3 seconds. Again, I think he has 6 already, and that really can cost that win. At the moment, 5 seconds is almost the gap between Shinji and Freeware, so he should be standing one more there to really, really secure that win. But at the moment, he still has to pit. We're on the middle of this race, but he has the gap there that he will have to really, really extend if he does continue to do those mistakes.
Yeah, Shinji, he's got a lot of pace in that car, but at the same time, like you say, penalties really can cost races here, particularly with late safety cars, that kind of thing. We're on lap 9 of 15, so fingers crossed we don't see a safety car. We don't want to see one here. We want to keep the green flag racing going. We want to see it all clean. We've had 2 retirements. Linus caught it quitlets in the pit lane. And, of course, Eric had that monumental crash where he went slightly airborne going down in to the Castillo Triangle, just coming out at 130R there. So, very, very unfortunate for him. But we've still got 17 races here. And you'll love to see it. Gaps have started to spread out, though. We haven't seen the pit for the top 7 here. All on 8-lap old mediums. Varrock, Williams, they've been going on for 7 laps. Varrock just crossing now. He joins everyone else on this current lap. But it's right now this man here, Shenjay, leading things. But as it stands, Freeware would win the race with the penalties applied. All depends, though, on the strategy and how they go about it. Brainstew seems to be closing in on Maka quite substantially. I don't know whether Maka has had a problem coming out of the hairpin, but Brainstew Alex had a pretty bad qualifying. Not a great start, but has clawed his way back up into P5.
Yeah, he had not only a bad qualifying, or not, at least not the best, but on the first lap, if I remember correctly, he had contact with actually Maka. I saw an Emplet flying there on that lap, but right now I think they are both clean without damage, I would say. Chenjay ran up pitting. We were taking a 3-second time penalty there, I think, on the chicane, on the crash triangle.
Chenjay sped into the pit lane. So did Freeware. They both got 5 seconds.
Well, that's a big thing for Angel, as he only has 3-second time penalty. As Brainstein ran out on the main straight, Slipstream for the Italian. The arrows as well. He'll try it on the inside of Maka there on turn 1. The apex really late on the brakes. He's just fully ahead of Maka, jumping into P2. And right now, trying to recover after that mistake or incident there on lap 1.
Yeah, important to get that one done again, just so he could stay ahead here. Go into the pit lane in front of the Prima Motorsport car that you're very well attuned to seeing Maka in there. He's always trying to get that car. As we come through now we're on lap 10 here. As Polypunk, Varrock, they're side by side. There's been pretty much a lot of action for Polypunk here through the Castillo Triangle. This time he's getting the overtake done on Varrock. And those fresh stops really working out for him in the high-tech. He's driving Mazepin's old car before he got promoted. Moen, he seems to have had an issue through the Castillo Triangle. Not ideal for the BWT Race Lab car, but he will soldier on nonetheless there. Does not give up, does the Welshman of Moen. Hasn't had the best of luck in the last few, though. There's a bit of a yellow flag as we come through the hairpin. Freeware, can he get a view of whatever's gone on here? Doesn't look like there's anything to write home about. And again, gaps still pretty big here. Shenjay, 5th place, 1.9 seconds. Penalties, though, for him will cause a huge upset in his race. He has got a monumental portion of them now. If I'm not mistaken, it might be 11 seconds. It is Freeware. He's on 8. Yeah. And this is going to play a massive role, Alex. There's Angel, Brainstew, and you imagine Maka. Yeah, he will come into the pits as well. These guys who are penalty free, really on for a strong podium here in the first race.
Yeah, Brainstein ran out pitting, putting those soft. A Psycho sped on the pit lane as well on that same lap. A lot of drivers really having those penalties. 11 seconds, as we said. Angel, I think, he pitted as well right now, exiting the pits behind Backroyd Sims. There's a 3-second time penalty, so he not only needs to gain that place on track, but if he wants to keep that podium alive as well, extending those 3 seconds he need after that penalty. Prior and Chenjay on risk to lose a potential podium, probably.
Psycho's out here, but I don't know where. Has he crashed on pit exit, or is he retired in the pits? I think he's called it quits in the pit lane. And I think his car now, the AI-controlled car, is rejoining the circuit. Yeah, there it is. You can see it there side by side with a 4-door sedan. And fingers crossed this pulls off. There it goes into the grass, finding a marshal post. Unfortunate, not quite sure why Psycho has called it a day, but that's what he's done here. As Shenjay, Freeware, well, with his 8 seconds now, only 3 seconds is his advantage over Shenjay, and that means he needs to catch by 2 seconds in the last 4 laps if he wants to beat his tier 1 teammate. Back row, he could be on for a brilliant finish, Alex. He could even win this entire race, and it looks like that might be what he's on to do.
Yeah, Bagro, no penalties right now. The gap, I think, between leader and him is 8.8. So at the moment, he should be on range there to win that race. And, well, of course, taking both places from Chenji and Freeware, who just takes the fastest lap at the moment with those subs on the last 10 of this race.
Yeah, we're on lap 12 of 15, and it's Rutanius now on the rear of Larsen. These two drivers haven't had the best of races. They'll be looking to put this one behind them, redeem themselves maybe in the sprint race, but there, the bad luck becomes worse, like Rutanius spinning out through the Dunlop curve, and the Dutchman in the Carlin finds himself in the gravel trap, and now having to wait as one of the Charoux looks like they're coming past there. But that is terrible, terrible news for him, as there goes, I think that's Freeware behind Shenji and the Trident, sorry. I think that was, it was Shenji coming past there. Varrock, he picks up 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane, and that has been something we've seen quite frequently here. The next race, I imagine, is just going to be mediums to the end from the start. No mandatory pit stop, so it shouldn't be a problem there, but it has been a problem here. I'm not quite sure why, Alex. Any explanation? Obviously, you're former F2 champion here last season. Any reason why you think the Japanese pit lane is causing these guys problems?
I think we saw in the chat Retenio saying that the racing line is not, well, it's not correct there on the pit entry. So some drivers expecting to brake later than they actually have to. And of course, not only that, but probably the speed there on the pit entry, well, the pit lane, might be lower than they expect. Of course, the F2 you always lower, and than the F1. So I think that can be an issue. Principal thing was, of course, that racing line being not representative where you have to brake. So a lot of these drivers having those penalties right now. Brain still really catching on hell.
Yeah, on board with the Italian, and he could be on for a great finish as well. Let's have a quick look. It's just 3 seconds for Angel, so even he might get something out of this in terms of Shenji's penalty. Not quite sure, though. Might be close between the two as the Italian sneaks up the inside there of the Spaniard. And for Brainstew, now that he's got past Angel here, if he can keep just eating away at the gap, Freeware, he's got 8 seconds of penalties. Brainstew, he's about 1.5 of that, but Angel giving Brainstew a little nudge as they come up through the S's, and just reminding him that he's still there. He's got past, but he's not through for the rest of the race. We're on lap 13 of 15 here in Suzuka, and this is of course the feature race, so stick around for the second race. We'll have the sprint race just after this one, but right now Angel on the rear of Brainstew, and it is absolutely incredible stuff right now from the Italian. A great recovery so far. Angel, though, not a bad race either for him. Let's have a quick look at the position changes whilst there's not too much going on. Brainstew's up 1, Angel's up 3, so a great race from him. His teammate as well, Fabry Flame, he's up 5 right now. The top 3, though, they have not changed since the qualifying. Other big gainers, Fordor is up 5, and Neon's up 6 as well, with Williams and Rock both up 5. A little bit further down the order, as Freeware on the rear of Shenji. He did need to close the gap, and he has closed the gap. He needs to be within 3 seconds of Shenji. He might even get the American on the track here. The German now. DRS in his favor. Shenji will not have it as they fly down the start-finish straight. It looks like Freeware is too far back. He swings to the inside, has a look, but knows that there's not going to be anywhere near the availability for a car on the inside there. But look at the exit coming out of turn 2. Really gets close to his tier 1 teammate. Obviously both used to driving the AlphaTauri F1 car. Now they're in very different F2 cars here as they come up through the S's. Is there any room for a move for the German? 1.5 laps remaining here. He's looking for it on the inside of Dunlop. He's got a lot of extra speed. Somehow finding pace where Shenji doesn't have it. Looks to go side by side with a switchback through the Degners. Doesn't find it there, but the exit maybe up towards the hairpin for Shenji and Freeware. Freeware all over the rear of his tier 1 teammate, not able to find a way past here. But Shenji in the Trident holds off the campus racing right now. He's got to hold off for another lap and a sector here as they come through into the Spoon curve for the penultimate time. And this is absolutely nail-biting between the two drivers. It's anyone's guess who finishes ahead of who. Alex, any predictions? Who's going to finish ahead, Freeware or Shenji here?
I mean, Sensei has 3 more seconds of penalties, and Freeway really needs to clear right now. The American has the gap between him and Bakro is 6.8, so Freeway needs 1 second and a couple of tenths there to keep that win. Right now, it's very, very close, and I think Sensei knows if he retains, Freeway probably cannot take that win today on the feature race. Opening the air as the German will be with the slipstream there on the Trident car. He got it, he got it, he got it. Seems like he doesn't have that much straight line speed, but right now on the inside, Sensei going a little wide, almost contact, but he's just ahead, and he needs to keep that gap alive with, between him and back row as it's growing 7.2, and he needs 8 cents on this lap, Unicorn.
It's going to be close between Freeware and Backrow. He just needs Shenche to sort of back off, leave him to his own devices, and hope we'll see whether any of that camaraderie that they've got in Tier 1 continues here. Shenche, Freeware, they get along well with the Tier 1 races. A little bit of banter between them with the issues, but right now, here, they're not teammates. This is F2. It's all for yourself. No team dynamics really here in the F2 division, and right now we're seeing that Backrow, he's closed the gap a bit to Shenche, but Shenche's dropping to Freeware now. It's about 7 tenths. It is getting so close to the gap Freeware needs. He's dancing over it, actually. Shenche, he's dropping a huge amount of pace. I don't know if one of his tires has gone or something, but he is really dropping back here to Backrow. Brainstew as well. He is still in with a shot here. He does not have a penalty either. And if he can just keep within Backrow's time frame, he could really be on here. I think Backrow, he's close so much to Shenche, he's actually gaining on Freeware as well. So right now, I think Backrow would just about win this race. It depends. Is Freeware close enough? Brainstew close enough to Freeware as well? He is really dancing on the edge. We could see Backrow, Brainstew 1 and 2 here, with Shenche and Freeware dropping like a stone. But it's Freeware coming out of turn 18. Oh, but there's a slide for the German. There's a slide. He's binned it out of the last corner. Shenche will cross first, but he's got a multiple penalties. Let's see. Freeware's there, slowly chuckling towards the line. Backrow gets him on track and wins ahead of Brainstew, who gets both Shenche and Freeware, who could drop even further here. They don't. Shenche finishes on the podium in third. Freeware finishes in fourth. And Maka finishes ahead of Angel after penalties. Angel's teammate in the other dams, Fabry Flame here. Dan Tictum's number 2 car crossing the line in 7th. He's got a penalty. We'll see whether that might cost him here to Polypunk for 7th place, and it does. So Polypunk finishes 7th place. Four-door sedan now coming through the Casio triangle. He will pick up 9th place. Obviously not going to get him in that reverse grid. Fabry Flame will start pole. Neon finishes 10th. Moen, he's going to cross in 11th place. But what a dramatic ending to that race. Back row Brainstew first and second. Shenche P3 and Freeware. He was going to cross the line first. Spun it out of the final corner. And there you have it. Into the wall. Falls down. And finishes fourth after that one. He looked so confident, Bito, to finish ahead of Shenche. And it just shows why you should never give up in one of these races.
Yeah, if we were having him stick there on the last corner, really cost him, I think, at least a couple of places. He was ahead of Shenche. Probably gonna get ahead of Brainstew, but pushing too much there on traction on a corner that is really difficult on F1, even more on F2. Really unsettled the car for the German, and he ended into the wall. And I think he's even lucky that he finished that race, because it was really sad to be at the NF there.
Well, that rounds things out, and what a race it was. Fully well deserved win here, as we will be moving on to the sprint race as well. We'll see whether Freeware can redeem himself. You think he was going to cross first, but back row here takes the win. And my oh my, I think he would have won anyway on penalties, but it would have been close. Freeware just, you can't make it up. You can't script that kind of action. And there we are, Freeware having a problem at the end there. But it's back row in the ART from third to first. Brainstew didn't have the best start to the evening. He's had a better finish here in the first race, the feature race, of course. Brainstew picks up P2. Shenche finishes ahead of Freeware, and he has those 4 points for the pole position that he got. He drops to third place in the race. But at the end of things, he could still be on for a weekend win here in F2, because he's got that extra point. Bring him to 19 points total. Brings him another point of Brainstew. all depends, of course, on the sprint race, where Shenche will finish a start ahead of background Brains 2, Freeway in 4th, Maka 5th, Angel 6th, Polypunk 7th, Fabry Flame in 8th, Fordor and Neon round out the point scoring finishes there. Fabry Flame will start pole position here in the sprint race. We probably have another formation lap. I don't know whether the drivers will remember that, but we saw one in the first race. We don't usually have them here in F2, but we will probably have one here. Different host. Had the settings slightly wrong there on my end, so that is my fault. And again, apologies for that. But we've got 24 seconds on the clock. A massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, wheel stand, motion sim, that kind of thing, be sure to check them out on their website in the link in the description down below. And of course, while you're down there, please do subscribe, hit the like button as well, so you show your support and just make sure you're notified when we post a video or go live here for either APAC or of course the F2 that you're watching along now to round out our week of Japanese action. Here we do look like we have a formation lap, and that gives us a quick moment to see where everyone is, especially outside of the top 10 where we didn't get to. Everyone on the medium compound tyre, presumably going to the end, of course, safety car incident depending. But we have Fabry Flame who finished 8th on pole position, Polypunk alongside him, Angel, Fabry Flame's teammate, will start directly behind him in 3rd place, Maka in P4, Freeware looking to redeem himself after the terrible finish there to the feature race. Shenje in 6th, Brainstew in 7th, back row winning the first race, starts 8th. Then we have 4-door sedan in 9th, Neon finishing 10th, picking up a final point in that last race. Moen starts 11th outside the points, Welsh Toast in 12th, Williams 13th, Varrock 14th, Rutanius, he had some problems in the last race, but he starts ahead of both of the MP Motorsports in Larsen and Psycho, who had an action-packed but not very successful race in the feature. Then Eric and Linus, both of whom retired in that first race. Linus in the pit lane, Eric in a much more dramatic fashion coming through 130R. Alex, no one's pitting here, unless of course they get damaged or something like that. But what do you think? Anyone who sort of stood out in that first race, do you think we'll see do particularly well here in the sprint race?
I think Freeware needs to really redeem. He really needs like a revenge, because he had a very good race. He had a good consistent pace, and then catch Shinji. And after that mistake, you really don't want to finish the week on Suzuka like that. And I think 5th place. He normally gets very good starts, and probably we can see another one today. And probably leading that sprint race, which is only 11 laps. 11 laps left on this week on Suzuka.
Yeah, Freeware, he's had a redemption race before. My mind wanders back to last season. Didn't have the greatest race in Tier 1. Came back the next day, won the then club division. Doesn't exist, of course, anymore. But Freeware, he has won here in Suzuka. We saw him have, one of those aforementioned great starts you mentioned in the last race, the feature race. He blitzed off the line and took Shenji down into turn 1. We'll see whether the German can produce something similar here as the drivers, they get locked onto the grid. And Alex, I'll let you take us away here for the start of this sprint race here in Suzuka.
Yeah, thanks, Nico. Right now, waiting for the last driver. I think it was Larsen or Psycho. But right now, yeah, waiting for that MP Motorsport lining there. Linus will be the last driver. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights here on Japan. Of course, that waiting leads of the spectator, and we are running right now. It's green light right now. It seems like Angel had a very good start. He's trying to split that front row. Right now, the dams having a 1-2 and Bolton dropping. Freeware is right there on the outside of Maka, jumping into P4. The German will try to hold there on the outside. And right now up into P4 on turn 3. Both dams having a very good start, and having since there on the back.
Yeah, a lot of drama right now happening all up and down the field. We've got movement everywhere. A lot of battles just happening outside the points right now in the low point scoring positions. There's a bit of an issue. Who is that? I think it's back row sideways. There's been a massive crash here coming into Dunlop, and that is a VSC there spawned. You can see there Varrock just trying to find his way through the carnage here. Just trying to work out who's been involved there. You've got Welsh Toast, Fordor, Eric, Rutanius, and Varrock, who's actually not made it through here. He's actually been, very smart, polite, let everyone else just get themselves reorientated. Back row, he won the last race, Alex, and he's already out here. A very, very different turn of events to what we saw in the last race. Movements everywhere on this grid, but that is absolutely unexpected here as Green Flag Racing pursues and Polypunk just gets ahead of Freeware. Narrowly avoids clipping the front of that Campos Racing car. Gets himself up into P3 ahead of the German. He started this race in P2. Lars and Williams, they exchange, but it's still all eyes on the German as he looks to try and get back past Polypunk here. Behind them, Shenjay Maka. They're exchanging as well side by side, but it's Freeware. Can he get a move down on the high-tech here? He can't. Shenjay, he's past Maka. Brainstew's looking for it on the Prima Motor as well. Loses a little bit of traction. There's been an issue further down. Psycho's had a problem, but they're still attacking here. Freeware is past his teammate in Tier 1. Shenjay looking to get in on the action as well. Freeware, Polypunk still side by side as they go down towards the first turn. Polypunk there wide. Shenjay takes that as an open invitation on the inside and squeezes past and gets himself into P4 behind Freeware, someone who he was battling with closely in that feature race just moments ago. Now looking on lap 2 here of 11 in the sprint race to follow the German through and really battling him out for a podium. Moen seems to have had an issue here. Where is he? He's in the wall. And that is not the first time we've been saying that today. And it's already looking pretty poor for the Welshman.
Yeah, very unlucky right there. Moen dropping there on the point. I think he was there on the top 8, or at least very, very close there on Neon. Right now, 1-2 for Dams, and Angel doesn't seem like he's closing that gap that much. He had a very good exit. Actually, Fiery Flame lifting there on the middle of the straight, and Angel will take there the outside line. Seems like a little bit of teamwork there for the Dams drivers.
Well, we'll see if it works out for them. They've got 2 Tier 1 drivers hunting them down right now, and they're hungry for positions. But this is, of course, the F2. They drive differently to the F1 cars, and that means that not all of the drivers who are good at F1 are good at F2. And as I say that, Freeware looks up the inside here of Fabry Flame. Goes wide, though. That opens the door for Shenjay. Freeware already picking up a 3-second time penalty as he goes sideways. He's spun coming into the Casio triangle, and the Campos Racing is around. And that is not the redemption drive that he wanted as we come out of the final corner. It is 3, almost 4 wide as they come down the start finish straight. Brainstew licking on the rear here as we come down into turn 1. It's Polypunk around the outside out of absolutely nowhere. You can see their Fabry Flame very, very wide. It's Shenjay leading Polypunk ahead of Brainstew and Fabry Flame there. That was a chaotic move. This Japanese racing here in F2 has been absolutely brilliant as we come on to lap 3 of the sprint race, and it has been unrelenting action from the first 5 red lights. Now, after the second set here in the sprint race, it is exactly the same. These drivers are not giving anyone time to breathe.
Brainstew really close again now, and Polypunk going a little wide there on the exit of turn 2, and Brainstew will try. He has to lift before the hairpin. He didn't have space. He tries to dive on the inside there of the high tech. Seems like a very good traction for the Italian. Let me change their back. Yeah, Neon side by side on the exit of the hairpin. Neon closing on the door. Still on the inside. Neon will take that place as Brainstew. We jump back there for the Italian. Very close on spawn, but Polypunk, it seems like he has a lot of sprint line speed. He will hold that podium at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely great defending here from Polypunk, but got Brainstew, a very, very fast driver, someone that we have seen multiple times pull off some brilliant moves. Even here in Suzuka, he was doing, great things earlier on in the week now. And now looking up the inside, not getting anything done through the Casio triangle. But it's the exit here that is the most important thing, and he might have it here. Fabry Flame, he gets passed by Neon and Maka as they go down. Now it's Brainstew, though, looking at Polypunk. He's been looking like he's wanting to make this move for about half a lap. Now the Italian will squeeze up the inside and will take that. He'll go and hunt down Shenjay for P3, who has really been sort of let loose now that Freeware is out of things after spinning in the Casio triangle not too long ago. Psycho, he's called it quit. No, he hasn't called it quits. He's crashed. He has crashed out here, and that is another VSC here in Suzuka.
Yeah, that's a crash for Psycho again. Double DNF, and he will not be happy after having a full-time drive, I think, confirmed for him this season. Oh, the remainder of the season. So it's not a good, let's say, debut from a full-time driver. Still, of course, He has been here a lot of time. He has proven his worth, but I think Suzuka right now not as good as it was for his Tuesday there on tier 3. I think he got P4, but as I said, right now the MP Motorsport driver not calling it into the pits, but having to put that car into the pits finally because of course that DNF. We'll see on the green flag who is really close to the drivers. As Power Flames seems like he's trying to time it perfectly there on Maka. Oh, they will be very close, Unicorn.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here on the restart. Who gets the better launch? There goes the green flags. They are being waved. You can see it at the side. Neon, he's on the rear of Polypunk by about 2/10. Larson on Fabry Flame as well. He could get a move here. Both drivers looking for it on the inside, down into 130R. Not going to work for either of them. Neon now looking around the outside as they go down towards the Casio Triangle. Polypunk defending that inside line, but Neon sweeps through. And that is done nicely for the Dutchman, Fabry Flame. He loses out to Larson as well. Larson having a much better race than his teammate in the other MP Motorsport car. He was what spawned that VSC. But now on to lap 5 we go. Green flag running and resuming here. And that is what we all came to witness as we're now on sort of approaching that halfway point. When they get about halfway around this lap, that's when we'll be there. Moen now on the rear of Varrock. Can he find a way past? The BWT hasn't had the greatest of luck in the last race. Already spun in this one, but he's looking on the inside now of turn 1, and he does get through on Varrock. And nicely done from him there to claim 13th place.
Meanwhile, Larsen, I think he overtook just Fabry Flame, and now he's trying to catch Maka and Polypunk, who goes again wide on the exit of Dugner too. Polypunk, it seems like he's struggling a little bit there in traction, or lateral grip, it would seem, as he is not able to keep that high tech there steady on the exit of that fast right-hander. Right now, Maka having a good exit there of the hairpin compared to the Spaniard, and he will try to really catch that high tech. Well, that's a penalty indeed.
Absolutely, and we'll see how that sort of plays into what transpires here at the end of things. Not too many people. Well, he's the only one in the top 10 with a penalty. Everyone else with a penalty is outside, and potentially an issue for Williams, who drops to Moen and for Rock. I think it might just be that front right end plate missing that's causing him that time. Shenjay, well, he's got Angel. Angel has been up at the top uncontested for quite some time now. Shenjay gets a little too close and wobbles through the Casio Triangle on exit. And does that leave him vulnerable to the Italian brain stew behind him? The Univirtuosi hunting down the American for P2. Polypunk, Maka, they're side by side. Maka getting past for P5 there on the 6th lap of the race. And Polypunk under a bit of pressure from Larson as well. In that MP Motorsport car, who gets very wobbly coming out of turn 2. But an impressive save to catch that car snaking underneath him. Great bit of driving there from Larson to hold that one. But definitely would have been worried in that cockpit. Very scary scenario for him.
NJ really closing that gap. Look at that. He's improving almost 3/10 this first sector. And just on the back, I think he'll try it on the hairpin. Angel, he knows that he's protecting the inside of that hairpin. Oh, but Tensei says no, he will take it his contact. And Tensei is spun around.
Well, first freeware now, Shenjay. It has not been going well for the AlphaTauri Tier 1 teammates. And speaking of people it's not going well for, Moen is facing the wrong way again here in F2. He has had such a poor run of form over the last few weeks. We go on board with the helicopter here, looking at Polypunk. He's looking to hunt down Maka. He's getting chased by Larson. So a very interesting battle here for what is P5 right now on track. Polypunk, though, of course, like you said, has that penalty that could really play into things at the end of things. Brainstew now with Shenjay out of the picture, clear to hunt down Angel for the race win. We were expecting him to do a little bit better, but as I say it, he picks up a 3-second time penalty of his own, just like Polypunk, the one we're mentioning here. And in a short race like this, the sprint race, only 11 laps. That is huge, and he could drop 2, maybe even 3 positions, but he does secure P1 from Angel, who defends up the inside, sweeps back past through underneath Brainstew through turn 2. And the Spaniard is putting on quite the display here in Suzuka and is really enjoying that top spot right now.
He really is. Right now, that was a very good defensive. I don't know if it was the mistake of Brainsty or Angel really protecting that first place really good. But Brainsty went a little bit wide, and that cost him, I think, that place. But right now he's catching again. And I have flashbacks from a lap ago. Moment taking 5 seconds for spinning on the plane, and it seems like he will be retiring on pits, I should say. It should seem at the moment it doesn't do anything. Probably changing for a softer compound, trying to do the fastest lap. Larsen and Polypunk changing there on the hairpin. Larsen on the outside and Polypunk on the inside, even having better traction. But Larsen is really close there on the gearbox of that high tech. He will try it on the inside of Spoon. We'll see. It doesn't seem like. Oh, Polypunk had a snap. I think he touched the grass. The Spaniard touched the grass, and Larsen took it there on the inside. He's up into P6 and trying to catch Maka again.
It was so bizarre there. It looked like they both sort of went for the same sort of idea, sort of to fling the car to the other side of the track, and then they both did at the same time, and then had to pull out at the same time. So very weird scenario there, at least visually, with both cars sort of wobbling a huge snap, but both catching it. So I think it was intentional. Brainstew, not only is he hunting Angel down, he's got Neon all over his gearbox now. The three of them running down. DRS wide open for Brainstew and Neon, the Italian and the Dutchman, both looking for the position on Angel. Both have found it. Can Neon find his way past the Italian here out of turn 2? He can't right now. They are still all in this very, very close-knit battle. Polypunk, let's see. Does he get the move done on Larsen? No, he doesn't. As we're on lap 8 now of this race, and there is still action all across this grid. But it is Brainstew leading things now. Neon ahead of the Spaniard of Angel. Angel's been leading for so long since his teammate Fabri Flame gave him the move on him up into Spoon. Now loses 2 places in very, very quick succession, and it's been a great drive so far from the Spaniard. Now under threat from Shenjo, who's up 2 places where he started. Would be more had he not had that slide through the hairpin, Alex.
Yeah, right now he lost 2 places, and right now Brainsty is actually gapping Neon 8 cents already there on 1 sector and a half. And I think he really wants to extend that gap. He needs to. He has 3-second time penalty. I think, if I remember correctly, at least the penalty he has. So it should be, as I said, at least 3 seconds. He really needs to extend that gap, as Eric does it quit on the pit lane, and is a double DNF as well for him, as it was for Psycho. So not the best luck for the 2-time race winner here on Emerald F2, and he will be, well, retiring and not finishing this race.
Well, after that huge crash in the first race, you know, morals aren't going to be going high. You know, morale will be low in that University camp. For Eric, his teammate, though, right now in lead of things. Brainstew up 6 places ahead of Neon, who's up 8. A great race from both of them right now. They're on lap 9. There's only 11 in this race, so really only 2.5 laps to go for both the University and the Carlin. They've got Angel and Shenji falling back behind them, and it's really a 2-horse race. But you look at the penalty situation, and that tells a different story. It is Neon ahead of Brainstew for the race win, despite being down in terms of track position. And right now, Brainstew, that penalty could cost him not only to Neon, but to Angel and Shenji as well. So right now, the podium as it stands is Neon, Angel, Shenji, but that might change as Shenji, the American, starting to pile on the pressure on the Spaniard right now as they come out of the second Degner.
Yeah, really close again on the second Degner. Angel is struggling there on the exit of sector 1. Right now, it seems like he had a better spin, but it seems like he's falling off that DRS window for the fight for P1 on Neon. 1.2 is already that gap, as Neon still gets closer and closer to the Italian, who's leading right now. He has a penalty, as we said before, and it can cost a lot of places. Right now, you have a yellow flag. It seems like it's Williams looking the other way, trying to find a way to spin that car and putting on the racing line, falling into P13. And Chenji very close, and Angel will try it on the castle triangle. I don't know if there was yellow flag. I think it was only in sector 1, and Chenji will take that place, but I don't know who has the DRS. It seems like the Spaniard will have the DRS, but Chenji seems like he had a very good trim and speed. Angel putting on the grass there. Neon taking fastest lap, and it's 2 seconds between first, second, third, and fourth. And Neon is very close, almost tapping the back of Brainsty. He'll take the switch back there in the second part of the apex on turn 1 and 2. Right now, very close. Going back into turn 3, Brainsty will hold it. I don't know. But Neon has a penalty as well.
Yeah, Neon just picked that up coming third of the Casio Triangle. This is brilliant news for Shenjay because not only does he have that penalty, but now he's fighting Brainsu, which gives Shenjay the opportunity to catch back up to Neon here, to gain back the time he lost fighting to get past Angel. Shenjay, it looked like he might be able to win the first race. Then he got too many penalties, cost him that race win. Now it's the other way around. He's hunting down the two guys at the top with the penalties. He just needs to keep it consistent now. He's had an issue in this race already. He didn't have a clean race in the first race either in terms of, you know, just consistent driving. But this time around, it might just be for the American. We'll see whether he's capable of taking that top spot. He got pole position in the first race. The pace is there. He's definitely displayed that already this evening. Now, he just needs to bring it home. One lap to go for these guys. But Shenjay, he picks up a time penalty coming out of Spoon. Goes wide, picks up 3 seconds. And now Angel is the highest one in this order with no penalties. But he's only close enough to beat Shenjay. He's just about 2/10 outside Neon's time for that penalty, 3 seconds. So right now, it's still Brainstew and Neon on for the win now. And my goodness, late minute mistakes are costing so many drivers here this evening. Neon now looking around the outside of the Italian. Brainstew hops back into the slipstream as they go down into turn 1 and turn 2. The first turn is done for these two drivers. Brainstew all over the rear of Neon. Can he hold on? Can he get a move done? You'd expect to see it. Probably down into the Casio Triangle. The late move, it's probably going to be the last chance that Brainstew gets. He's dropping off the back of Neon though as they go through the S section of track. And this is going to be all the way to the end. Yellow flags popping up here, there, and everywhere. Larsen's had an issue. He's dropping. You can see his dot there on Sector 1 coming through turn 3. He's just getting that car turned around. But right now, it is all eyes glued between the battle between the Dutchman and the Italian driver as they come through the hairpin. Neon P1 by 6.5 tenths right now ahead of Brainstew. Brainstew, though, what has he got left? What can he produce here as we come now through into Spoon for the final time this evening for these guys? It is going to be to the line. Can Brainstew get the exit here? It is all or nothing now for the Italian. We don't have DRS, of course, down this back straight. We don't have ERS here in F2. It's all just on who got the better exit, and it was Brainstew. I think he's going to be too far back. It's going to be too little, too late. He's half a second down on his previous best time through there, but that's due to tyre wear. It's half a second down on Neon. That's the real problem here. Freeware picks up fastest lap on a fresh set of mediums that he picked up earlier on, I think. As Neon, he will cross the line in first place. Neon wins in the Carlin car ahead of Brainstew. My goodness, Shenjay finishes P3 and he finishes just ahead of Angel, who picked up a penalty of his own, I think. Maka, he finishes in P4. Polypunk will cross the line in 6th. Fabri Flame, unless Polypunk has a huge host of penalties, will finish 7th place, and he does. Welch Toast, no penalties to his name. He picks up 8th place, and the final point, Larsen, well, he's going to cross in P9. There's a big crash there for one of the BWTs. It was Moen. Varrock, he's going to round out the top 10. No points for him, though, with only the top 8 finishing, or the top 8 scoring points here in the sprint races in F2. But my oh my, what an evening of racing. A lot of action here in the F2 division in MRL. And Alex, that was absolutely extraordinary stuff from Suzuka here in F2.
Very, very close it was indeed. Angel taking that penalty on the last lap, I think it was there on the exit of Dugna, where I said he was strolling there on that section. He really was and went wide. I think there the Spaniard lost the place with Maka, who jumped there before. Always consistent there on the F2 series and proving again. Restive as well. They're finishing on the podium and everyone with penalties except Maka. So that, well, it's some 3 points for him.
Absolutely. We're just going around with Neon and finally got a good race under his belt. He seems to have been really struggling over the last couple of weeks, not finding that sort of nice sweet spot in terms of picking up the wins that we were so used to him seeing. There was that point when he was in tier 2, absolutely dominating over there, came through, won a tier 1 race, got himself promoted, hasn't had the best time since with safety cars, etc. But now finally we see Neon back where we expect to see him more frequently on the top spot of the podium. It's been a little while, but Neon, the Dutchman, wins, lifts the trophy aloft here for P1. Brainstew, he's on the podium as well, where we expect to see him in an F2 car in P2. And Shenjie there, well, he managed to claw himself a third place. It wasn't looking great for him throughout the first race with those penalties. The second race, he had that slide, but manages to claw it back for a podium. We'll have a quick look at the standings here for this race. Neon wins. Brainstew, Shenjie joining him on the podium. Maka manages to hold on to P4 with the penalties applied. Angel, he drops to P5 after penalties. Polypunk and Fabry Flame, his fellow countrymen, in 6th and 7th. Welsh Toast rounds out the point scorers in 8th. Then we have Larson and Liners in 9th and 10th. Farok, Fordor, Williams, Freeware, Rutanius, and Moen, the other finishers. Eric, Psycho, and Backrow all failing to finish here. Let's have a look at the overall winners then. Brainstew, by just 1 point, wins ahead of Shenjie. The fastest lap there would have secured, well, if he didn't get the fastest lap, he wouldn't have got that top spot. 32 points to Shenjie's 31. Shenjie, we mentioned qualifying and how important it is, sets him there up in for P2. Back row, he finishes P3 after winning the first race, but that's all he got points for after retiring early on in that sprint race. Maka, he finishes P4, always a good consistent driver here. Neon, 1 point for 10th place in the first race, and coming from 10th to 1st in the sprint race picks up P5. Unhell in 6th, Freeware in 7th, then Polypunk with 10 points in 8th. Fabry Flame with 6 points, a big drop to 2 points for Fordor, and Welsh Toast finishing 8th picks up a singular point for that sprint race for the weekend as a whole as well in 11th. Larson, Linus, Varrock, Williams, Rutanius, Moen, Eric, and Psycho, the other drivers here this evening, who all failed to score points for one reason or another. But Alex, that was quite the evening to watch F2. That is one of the most action-packed rounds we've seen. It was non-stop from start to finish. Any closing remarks before we round out the stream?
I said F2 and Suzuka, it's not a good relation. Like, we don't see that normally. And I said, of course, that the overtakes were really able, and I think it has been proven. A lot of drama on last lap, even on last corner, as we saw with Freeware. And a very good intense battle there on the S's and every part of that track. And that's what we love to see, and that's why we are here. And I think that's all for me. And I hope everyone has a good week next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, next week we will be heading to the USA for the Misfits Racing League action. Of course, F2 will be there to round out the week, but the week starts, of course, with a lot more action than that. Tuesday is when we have a lot of drama going on. Tier 3 kicks off the racing week. Then in between that and the America's Tier 1 race, we have America's Tier 2 that should premiere here on YouTube. In between those two races, just after Tier 3 finishes. So make sure you're around for all of that. Subscribed here so you can be sure when that America's Tier 2 race gets premiered, but also following on the Twitch channel as well for all of the action Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as well, of course, for the other days that we stream there. But that is all from us. A massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you want to check them out for a sim racing rig, wheel stand, motion sim platform, that kind of thing, check them out in the link in the description down below. And of course, a massive shout out to all of you watching at home for supporting us. We love doing what we do, and it's always great to see a lot of people watching, supporting the drivers, driving in the races. It's all a great community to be a part of, so make sure you're in that Discord as well to take part in community races such as this. But until Tier 3 with Striff and Alex, of course, taking the reins for that one, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you in the next one.
We are back. We are back with some Tier 1 action.
And that is the AlphaTauri of Adrian straight head on into the Red Bull. And the Kai Bacchini has joined the party, and he's on these medium compound tires in the Merc. This very late braking from the Ferrari. He locks up and he blocks Zamis. And who is that? That is Jean with a fantastic exit, and he is going to get ahead of both of them here.
So
I believe it's crossing the line now, checkered flag. Adam and Bajarin, the first two to catch it early. Vettel now rounding the final two turns of 22 and 23 here in Singapore. The Racing Points collect the 1-2. Battery, there goes Ben the Bear now just ahead, taking the checkered flag, coming through the Casio triangle. It's still wheel to wheel between these two. Mick out with a great traction. Oh, what a run out of the chicane, and he gets it done. How's the exit for the Ferrari? Good so far. You can see wheel to wheel coming down the straight into turn 4. It's the Ferrari leading through. Ben, wheel to wheel now with Revo, and he has so much pace in this Racing Point right now. It's wheel to wheel between these two. How's somebody gonna go? He's drifted off. Does the exit? What an exit out of the Williams. Does he get him? There's a big snap. Jake looking on the inside of 8 and 9. It's the Mercedes coming around the outside of 9. Does he get this move done on Tim? This is huge. This is absolutely massive. A drag race coming through 10 now, down into 11. Here we go, and Zamis has the popcorn.
But Yukio tries to turn in, and Domi just says,
Oh, the Stars!
Goes for a second.
What a move from the Stars! That is the Renault of Van Putten up the inside of the Williams into turn 1. Freeware's gonna get Yoda! Freeware's gonna get Yoda!
Yoda wins the race!